You are going to love my interview with Lena Jung about the out-of-body experiences she had after her husband Tomaz passed. You're going to want to hear how Tomaz communicated with Lena while he was in a coma for 30 days before he transitioned. You'll love hearing about how Lena started receiving messages from a collective group of spirits, which she calls the drops. Lena and I also talked about shadow work and how important that is to healing. You're going to love Lena. You're going to love this interview. Come join us. Many blessings. Hi there, and welcome to the Grief and Rebirth podcast. I'm your host, author and trauma survivor Irene Weinberg, here to encourage you wherever you are in your healing journey. In each episode, I chat with incredible grief and trauma specialists, healers, mediums, and celebs, as well as remarkable people who have inspiring healing stories to share. If you're looking for a podcast that's both uplifting and inspiring, you've found it. Let us help you find your joy in life. Hi, everyone. I hope this finds each of you so very well. I was speaking to you from my studio in West Orange, New Jersey, and I could not be more delighted to have the pleasure of interviewing the remarkable Lena Jung, who hails from Slovenia, a jewel of Central Europe nestled beneath the majestic Alps with a gateway to the Adriatic Sea. Known as the Green Pearl of Europe, Slovenia symbolizes balance, nature, growth, and renewal. In many ways, Lena herself embodies these qualities. With 2 PhDs in energy market development, an executive MBA, and over 20 years of experience in the media and energy industries, she's a powerhouse of knowledge and expertise. Yet Lena's talents extend far beyond her academic and professional accolades. She channels a collective of high-vibrational beings called the Drops, offering profound spiritual wisdom. And she is a gifted healer, skilled in a variety of modalities, including Ayurvedic consultations, shamanic journeys, and Jungian coaching. By weaving together her diverse professional background and spiritual gifts, Lena provides transformative insights and guidance to her clients, many of whom are high-achieving women navigating significant life transitions. It is truly very special to have Lena with us today, and even more so because she is speaking to us from Uganda. I'm looking forward to talking with her about her out-of-body experiences, the fascinating examples of her deceased husband communicating with her, how channeling the drops helped Lena to heal and reignite her soul purpose. Her package of offering, including Ayurvedic consultations, shamanic journeys, channeling, and Jungian coaching, what is shadow work, and more, for what is sure to be an unforgettable interview filled with life-changing insights. Hey, Lena, a truly heartfelt welcome to Grief and Rebirth podcast. It's such a pleasure to have you here. And I can't believe you're speaking to us from Uganda.
Yeah, wow. I can't either. And thank you for having me, Irene. I'm really honored, really.
I'm thrilled to have you here. It's just wonderful. And I just want to ask you, you've been following Grief and Rebirth for a while, right?
Yes,
this helped you when you lost your husband, right?
Exactly. First, your book. I came across one of the podcasts where you were speaking about your experience, and then I got your book, and then I started following your podcast. So thank you. Big thank you to you as well.
Thank you. We're a mutual admiration society here. Thank you so much. I'm really thrilled. So I want everybody to get to know you, Lena, before we get to this amazing healing work that you're doing in the world. So let's describe, please, could you describe your childhood in Slovenia? Because you call yourself a lone wolf, and explain how this solitary childhood kept you in touch with your inner world, which you did not know at the time was preparing you for what you're doing today, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's true. You know, when I was there, I didn't take it as a tough life, but I was just taking it, you know, I was just like going with the flow. So when I saw that I need to provide for myself when I was, I don't know, I started working when I was 9, to be honest,
Wow.
in a family company. So I started selling our products in the local fairs. And I remember that I needed to wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning, which was really tough for a kid, you know, even for an adult, I would say. Not for me now that much, but yeah, I do remember when it was tough for me when I was even an adult, but for kid, even more so. So yeah, I do remember those beginnings. And then when life became a bit tougher and I was like, I was even a minor. I needed to get a job next to my, you know, it was a regular educational program that I attended as high schooler. I attended a gymnasium, and every day after the class, I went to work in the jewelry store. And then I was rushing home to be there before it was really super dark, so that I'm, you know, home by a normal timing, and that I'm safe and so. And then things kind of escalated, so to speak. Yeah, the worst part
I
of
mean, you
it.
had a lot of things happen in your childhood, right? I mean, like
Yes,
were you
yes.
part of did you have siblings? Did you
I
have,
have, yeah, I have sister who is 7 years younger than me, and that was also a part of my, I would say, childhood experience, because I needed to take care of her quite early. My
wow.
parents at the time were working a lot when we had this family company, so they were not around much. I tend to think that, you know, from human perspective, not now talking about the soul plan and so, but from human perspective, I think that that's why I also didn't had this hormonal, how to say, state when I would be in the need to have kids. So me and my husband, we were always like, no, we are okay without kids, you know. And I even had in my mind that if we were to have kids, we would adopt, because there are so many kids, unfortunately, around the globe who need parents, and we would just adopt. So, but it never came to this, because we didn't, you know, we didn't even go into the process. We were happy as it was, and we just adopted the dogs. So
Oh, and you had a tough childhood, right? Because the family company bankrupted.
yeah,
There was a time you didn't even have a roof over your head. My goodness,
yeah,
Lena, and
true.
you're working through all of this, and you were struggling
Yeah,
in daily survival in high school, and then
yeah.
your family
Uh,
fell apart. Oh
Yeah,
my
that
goodness.
that was, again, at the time I didn't see it as something that's like, you know, devastating, because I was so much into daily things. I needed to survive. So I didn't pay attention to, oh, that's not normal or something. No, no, no. I was just devoted and really determined that I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. So
Wonderful.
then when Tomas actually left this physical realm, it was the first time when I was speaking out loud in the forest. I was speaking to a creator or a god, or I don't know who I was addressing, but something powerful beyond me. And I said, I was really rude. I won't repeat the words, but because I was so mad, you know, he just left. And I was like, didn't I get enough of, you know, not
Hasn't
human.
enough been heaped upon me more?
Yeah, yeah. Do I need more? Really? What have I done? And that was actually the first time that I saw this, also the past that I had, in such a way that I was like, you know, I don't want to say bad things, but I was really like, sorry, but I was like, what the fuck?
Right.
What's happening? Like, I don't.
I can
Yeah.
relate. Yes.
Yeah. And then the message came instantly. Like it was because, like, I remember going back, wasn't it enough when I was a teenager? And there was no mercy. Like there was no mercy for me. And I never complained as a teenager. And then the message came like, and exactly because of that, like that was the training. Because of that, you can manage this now. And I was like, okay. And it was so strong that I was just humble, and I'm sorry that I behaved that way, because I just understood. It was
But
so
you're
powerful.
human. You know, we're allowed to
Of
be
course.
human. And I have to
Yeah.
say that honestly, I had a very tough childhood also. And
Mm.
you know, and I really feel that like you, in certain ways, it's helped me to where I am today because
Right.
I can understand when
Yeah.
people talk about that they had suffered emotional abuse or what they went, I did too. So, and I healed it. So I can understand it. Could you, and the same thing seems to be, we were both prepared for where we are today, right? So
Yes.
could you tell us about Tomaz and how you met him? You were only 19 years old, and
Yeah.
talk about your relationship with him. And then I want to talk about what happened when he got so sick and transitioned for you.
Yeah, we met when I was working as a student in a bar, serving him coffee. and he was a customer. So he was a regular. And to be honest with you, I didn't like him, his appearance. He was not attractive to me. But then it was the first time that I fell in love with the charisma and the energy that he was carrying. So after that, and when we were together, actually, he made fun that he is like a wine, getting better and better by each year passing. And that was actually true because I was very much in love with him towards the end. And also, of course, after we met, fell in love really deeply. But our love really deepened throughout the years. Like we were together for more than half of our lives here in this incarnation, so to say. So yeah, it was very strong. And since we didn't have kids, he was actually everything to me.
How much older was he than you? How much older?
Only 2 years.
2 years.
Only 2 years. Yeah. So, and the thing is that, even ever since I was a child, I was a kid, I hang out with the books. Even in the elementary school, my day was after class, I went to the library, get another book than yesterday, return the yesterday's one, go back home and connect with the book and then do some learning. But then, the books were my friends all the time, meaning that I didn't really nourish the relationships with other people because Tomas was enough to me. And after that, when he passed, everything turned around.
That's amazing.
And as you have already mentioned the shadow work, I can also say that 2 days after his passing, I've had the first module in Jungian coaching, and it was a shadow work. And actually, the message that I got from that shadow work was, now it's time to live your life outside the books.
Outside the book. Can you describe for people who are listening and have never heard about shadow work? What is shadow work? And then I'm going to reference that again in another question later on. But what is shadow work exactly? Is that about the part of us that we keep hidden, or that?
Yes.
How does that work when you're trying to heal to bring that out?
Yeah, actually it is. It's working with our shadows. So, we have different roles in life. We develop certain behaviors. And of course, there are things that are hidden that we maybe suppress in order to serve better, to be better, to appear better for the others, maybe parents, starting with parents, then the school system, and, then at the job, and then with the friends, to keep somebody, like a spouse or something. So we suppress ourselves and we don't acknowledge everything that we are. And we carry so much more than just these roles, right? So when I've done this shadow work and how it comes from Carl Jung, famous Swiss psychotherapist and psychoanalytic. So there are different methods how we can do shadow work. But basically, I can share the experience how I did it 2 days after my love passed. And we needed to create from the gum, like the plastiline. We needed to create some kind of a figure. So I created a bear. I had I picked the brown color and then some black color, and it was a bear. And I was not thinking about it because you are led through the process. So this bear appeared in front of me and I needed to name him. And so then I needed to develop a dialogue with the bear. And actually, because we are projecting everything that we carry in, we're projecting it all the time to other people and the world around us, right? So you are kind of led to project this in the figure that you have in front of you. So let it be this bear or some picture that you can have. So then you develop a dialogue and you pose a question. And I don't remember exactly what my question was, but for sure it was something in connection to what is my purpose now? Because I lost my purpose seemingly, I thought that I lost my purpose when he was gone from this world. And I was like, I just wanted to die. And that can easily be connected then also to the out of body experiences, because I literally wanted to die. And then you speak for the figure as well. So it's like turning, coming from one chair, I pose a question as Lena, and then I respond the question coming to the other side, right? So I was
in a way, the bear represents the hidden
Yes.
parts of you that you
Yes.
haven't really dealt with, that
Exactly.
you've been covering,
Yes.
so that you keep your mask to the world, right? Would you say?
Exactly. But the thing is, we're not putting on the mask only for the world. Eventually, we put it on also for ourselves, which is the hardest part then to deal with. So people even don't want to go into that because they're just afraid to dig deeper. But to me, just recently, I got some kind of an invitation from one of the, I would say, like teachers in this spiritual realms. And he said something along this line that if I would work with him, I would get to know my shadows. And then I said, I literally did the work with my shadows, and ever since I'm doing that. So I can, be transparent with myself within, and then also with the world, because I don't have anything to lose.
Lose anymore. I have done a lot of that too. And the beauty of it is when you're helping people to heal, your shadow work, which is healed, isn't getting in the way of that now. You're more of a pure channel, right?
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So I want to ask you how Tomaz came into you had a dream, and he came into your dream the night before you got the call from the hospital that he had passed. And you also had a sign that was in the hospital waiting for you. So I want everyone to understand that spirit was working with you. You didn't quite know what was going on, but you were getting signs and all. And I also want to ask you, why was Tomaz in a coma for 30 days? I mean, he was obviously very sick, right?
Yeah. So he was diagnosed with cancer a year before he passed, or a year and 2 months, something like that. So he was very ill already at home. That was at the end of 2021. And he wanted to deal with the cancer on his own. We studied so many things. What can we do together? And he was trying to do so many things because I don't want to say that he didn't believe in the conventional medicine, but he said, like, I'm responsible for my own health. I should, do the work. So he also had, among others, this diet, which is basing on the juices. So it's just the squeezed juices from vegetables. And I was actually determined to go and do this path with him. So basically we were doing 35 fasting path together. And actually the body can last that long without eating. We are different, we are individuals, but still it can be done. So we have so big intelligence that we carry here, and we call it like a meat suit, but I have such a big respect for this, so to say, meat suit, because I call it an intelligence.
Yes.
It's intelligence, yeah. After we did this diet, he had a lymphoma. So everything got blocked in his system. So they took him to a hospital when it was really bad. I called the ambulance. And then at that time, they saved his life. He also lost his life for a few seconds, he said. Yeah, that was the case. And then he stayed in the hospital for a full month. And they have given him chemotherapy. And then he needed to return every month for a few days to get additional doses. So he was then, at the end, he was going through chemo. And in May 2022, he came out of the hospital. And we actually, before he got diagnosed, we were already planning to build a house together. So he was so determined to build a house that actually this was what was, his main focus when he got out. And actually we made it from May till November. No, it was beginning of November, the house was done. We built a beautiful wooden house made out of Slovenian wood, and it's just amazing house, a house of love. I call her.
It's your sanctuary. It's your
Yes,
it's your nest, your sanctuary. I'm sure of that.
and it's like the closest neighbor is the forest, so it's beautiful, really. So he was really determined to finish that project. And then when we moved in November, we were together only for 1 month in the house when he started to feel really bad again. And it appeared as a kind of a cold or a virus, and the doctors really didn't actually took it so seriously because it was it seemed as a virus. So he didn't had any treatment, I would say. And then it got so bad, I called the oncology saying that I have really, really bad feeling. And I was even kind of a pushy to get him back in just to check on him because we didn't know what's wrong. And then the oncologist, he said, well, okay, maybe on Monday. And I remember it was Friday. And I said, I don't think he's going to make it till Monday. So he said, okay, just bring him in. And I did. And he was, they accepted him. And then 2 days later, phone call came during the night, and the doctor said we needed to put him in coma. Something happened and we're not aware of what. So until the very end, we were not sure what exactly it is, like officially, it's now I know soul will find a way to exit. So that was his way. And actually, when looking back, he lasted in coma for exactly 30 days. Yeah. And that was really soft and gentle way of him saying bye to this world.
Yeah, he kind of eased out and gave you a little more time with him, right?
Yes, it's true, because we connected during that time. And also he had this Tesla metamorphosis therapist, and his soul was communicating through that therapist. So she was able to share his messages with me, and the messages were such that there was no chance she would have such information, what was going on. So that amazed me. But again, when I look back at that time, it was not amazing to me. At the same time, in the same way, when talking about my childhood, I was not in that period when it was most stressful. I didn't, think about, okay, does this make sense? Is this normal for such a kid? And here again, I didn't wonder, is it normal that I'm getting his messages? I didn't, it was
You just didn't question it. You just accepted it. You accepted it. What kind of message? Could you give us an example of a message you were getting while he was in a coma?
Yeah, for example, one was like, should we move somewhere near the sea? And he said, well, this is not a question that you ask a soul, because you know this answer, so I'm not gonna even bother. And this is so much in line with how he functioned as a human, because he had this, he was a person who used his cynical part in a really funny way, and the black humor, and I just love that part of him. Like many people they couldn't understand it, but to me, that was a really high, sophisticated humor. And this is kind of a vibe he was using also as a soul. And the therapist got it as well. So that's why.
But not only that, he's in a coma and he's coming through with a style and a way that absolutely identifies that it's him, which which is amazing and so wonderful. And he also came into your dream the night before he passed. Mm-hmm. And so you want to tell us about that? I mean, here he's in a coma and he's messaging you, and while he's in a coma, and he's messaging you the night before he passed. So what was that like?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't remember having a dream of him in those 30 days, but that dream before I got the call from the doctor, I remember as it would be yesterday. So yeah, he was in my dream very, very vividly present, but he already appeared. It was like an introduction. Now I'm gonna look like this or something, because he was not Tomas as I knew him as human, but he was bigger. He was a soul. He was bigger energy, bigger presence. I do remember that I was negotiating him, even though he appeared bigger than me, because I was still kind of a human. But yeah, my soul was doing this astral journeying, or however we call it. But still, he was a bit bigger. And I do remember I was so brave going like, now you come back. And he was like just giving me something that I could translate to 19. And it stayed with me, 19. And then I remember I was even in a dream, I was happy. Okay, I made it. I negotiated that he comes back for 19 more years. It's something. It's not much, but it's something. I'm okay because I've negotiated, you know? So I was super happy. And then when I woke up, I was just a bit puzzled. And then I did my morning routine. I took the dogs out, and then I got a call when I was walking the dogs. I was in the forest. I got the call, and I just remember I started screaming out loud. Like it was just a scream, you know, from the depth of my being. So I'm now grateful to the forest, because the forest actually took a lot of my energy that needed to be unleashed at that time. So yeah, what I know by now, the message was that in 19 years we will meet again. But just not that long ago, I got another dream where there was, among others, also Krishna, like, you know, Krishna. And one of the messages, because it was such a vivid dream, I also won't forget ever, probably. I was shown that the period got longer. So it was.
You have more to
so
go
long.
until you meet him again.
Yes,
you have
yes.
more to go before.
Yeah.
And that's really fascinating. And I know that at his funeral, his stepfather or your stepdad had an experience with Tomaz at the funeral. So like, it's not even that this stuff is coming through you, but now it's going through to your stepdad. So you want to tell us what that was about? I mean, Tomaz was very busy. He had transitioned, but wow, he was.
Yeah. He's very active. He's very active. Yeah.
He has a big soul.
Yes. So yeah, my stepdad, and he's totally not spiritual. And
which makes it even more believable when someone isn't spiritual and they get a message like that, right?
Yeah. And also I wasn't that spiritual. I was more open, and I allowed things, you know, to be. And before answering your question, I'm just going to say it was so interesting also that at some point Tomas said, if I die, but that was far before, you know, all this story, the whole story. He said, if I die, I promise I won't be coming back to scare you. And I was like, da. Like, you know, what are you talking about? But it was like in a funny way. And it got me thinking that we have so much information, so many information already in us, what's to happen. But we are just, you know, we don't think about them as truth, you know, being just planted in that this might follow. We just remember later on, which you might also have some experiences of, right? So yeah, my stepdad, he saw him, and he was so...
He could literally see him? He saw him at the funeral? He was able to see him?
He saw him driving with the bicycle, cycling, and passing the whole group of people who were there. And he said that Tomas said, wow, it's so many of you. And then he was gone. Wow. Yeah. And that was his experience. And he said he was so alive. He was like here. He was like here. And then also my mom, she said, because, you know, at the funeral, before the funeral, at least in Slovenia, you spend some time there and people gather and so on. So at some point, my mom, maybe she went to the toilet or something, and she was returning back to me. So I was like here, and then she was returning back to me, and she said, I swear to God, I saw Tomas standing next to you. I swear to God, you know, and then she said, and when I reached you, okay, he was gone. But yeah, you know, and again, my mom, she's like me, she's open, but she's not into these things. Like,
so did that change their minds a little bit? Did it open them up a little bit?
Yes.
That's what happens a lot of times with people, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing, right?
Yeah.
And it's actually proving to everyone that love never dies, because there he is with you, and they didn't believe, and they're seeing him. and it's at his funeral. And I've also learned that, and Saul was at his funeral. I've also learned that many people are at their funerals. So
Yes.
I want to ask you, now you have this amazing, Lena, you're so grounded. You have 2 PhDs, which is awesome, and all the things you've done. And now all of a sudden you're getting messages from this benevolent group of beings named the Drops at his funeral. So it's not that enough is happening to you. Your mom and your stepdad are seeing him and all that, but now you're getting messages from the Drops. And so what did you learn from them? What was their primary mission for you? And did you immediately start channeling them? And how did that help you to heal, reignite, or maybe ignite your soul purpose? Because I'm not sure you were totally in touch with your soul purpose yet, right? So what did you discover from all of that? That's amazing that happened to you.
Actually, the drops revealed my, I would say, soul purpose. And they came in because, as I mentioned, I wanted to die. So they came in as, I would say, carriers for me, holders of my space, and I would say also nurturing beings for me. They revealed
That's
so
amazing.
much. Yeah, they revealed so much. You know, at the beginning, I kept asking, or I kept posing some questions to Tomas. And there were even questions like, why the Holocaust? Why are we slaughtering all these animals for meat production in such a way? Like questions of, or why the colonization happened. So
I'd love to know the answers to that.
yeah, so I kept asking, you know, but first I was asking Tomas, and then the drops kind of took over, and I know that it was also Tomas's power that got them together, because it's 12 beings being in the group, and they come from different backgrounds. And it sounds really like
it sounds like a fantasy, fiction. But it's not,
yeah,
right?
I know, science fiction, yeah. But I know he put them together to keep me going at the time. So I can now.
So you think that on the other side, he gathered them together?
Yeah, yeah,
for you.
Yeah. So now I can.
How do they present to you? Do you just hear them?
No.
Do you see them? How do you get the messages from them? What's that experience like?
Yeah, they have a different, it's always different. It's always different because when I channel, it depends also on the person that I'm channeling for, or if I channel for myself, they can also come in different forms. And oh my gosh, now when I'm in Uganda doing this retreat for refugees from Sudan, I was kind of missing them, because I'm the whole day long, I'm devoted to people who are here. You know, we do yoga, and then I teach them yoga, and then we have Ayurvedic consultations and so on. But I'm very much with people. So I'm alone only in the morning when I have my morning routine. And then in the evening, I already message them, I miss you. Like because if I would have more alone time, it would come spontaneously, you know. And then what they did was, oh my, this was so amazing. That was like 2 days ago when I messaged them in my mind, I miss you. And that was, I think, the first time that I kind of sent them a message, hey guys, I miss you, come. And what happened then very next day was, because we have 3 different groups of people coming in for 3 retreats. So when the second group of people for the retreat, we started yoga, and one of the ladies, one of the participants was late. So I remember I was on the ground and showing the asana to the participants who were there already. And she came in and she appeared a bit above me because she passed me. And I saw her t-shirt, and it was blue t-shirt. And usually the drops come, for me, they come in blue hoodies. Like they are super cool. Even though they are coming, some of them from, I don't know, it's like Mesopotamian times, 10,000 years ago, and so on. And she wore this blue shirt, or kind of a thicker shirt, and she had a sign on droplet.
Oh my goodness!
And I was like,
oh my God, what a message! Oh my goodness, why do you call them the drops?
They
told you that they're the drops.
Yeah, because already before they came in as a group, I saw the source, because I was doing a lot of these journeyings also when I dream, when I meditate, when I also the out of body experiences, they led me to this source. And the source, not this source, but the source, to me, it appeared as a really vast water, body of water. And they are actually coming, the drops from the waterfall coming from this vast body of water. So they're directly coming from the source as the drops.
Wow. Wow. It's so fascinating. And I want to I want to ask you, because I had an out of body experience also. Were you having spontaneous out of body experiences, like it was just happening to you, or it happened when you went to sleep? What was that like for you? Were you astral traveling?
Yeah.
What, I mean, with me during the accident, I bounced out of my body and I went into the void, and then I returned to my body. What was that like for you?
Yeah, for me, it was during the sleep. So I think, you know, again, coming also to the analytical mind, because I do want to have certain explanations for the things that are happening, right? That's why I even took, when all this started, I applied for a program from psychotherapeutical propedeutics, just to stay also in the books, you know, not just to go high up, but also to stay in the
Keep yourself
scientific
grounded.
world.
Yeah.
Yes, 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 yes. So for out of body experiences, they happened to me when I was sleeping. And I think, I believe, and also some messages that I got when I was questioning this was, I think that because the wish to leave this realm was so strong, I think that something happened with my breathing. And actually, when I was really far, I do remember being really, really far, because there were several experiences. And at some point, I was among some beings and I was going so high up, and they were all pointing to me, "Oh, you're so high up. You're so high up." And then I woke up. Or the next occasion was when I was going
And you
up.
just woke up and then you were right back in your body, right?
Yes, yes. But one occasion was when I was going up, almost going like through the rooftop of my
Right.
house. And it was like I would sense it here, you know, the rooftop. So it was interesting because I was not in the body, but I could feel that I'm going up, and through the rooftop. And then Mary Magdalene came, and she had really strong voice saying just Lena. And it was so strong that I instantly got back in, and it was like I am being pulled like this in the body, back in the body. And I remember waking up and I was still dizzy because of that.
Wow. How is Tomaz inspiring you to support people in healing, to contribute to raising the vibration, the frequency on the planet? You want to explain that to everyone? Because you do amazing healing, and he's really been your inspiration to do this. So can you explain about the need to raise the vibration on this planet and how he is supporting you to do that?
Yeah.
You're part of a bigger plan.
Yeah,
for the
we all
planet.
are.
Yes.
We all are. But yeah, I'm aware of it. Yeah. So when he passed in late January, and I went to Scotland in June. And the purpose of me going to Scotland for a few days was to heal. I wanted to go to Scotland even, you know, before his illness and all that. And by the way, I always traveled alone because he didn't like to travel. So
You're very courageous. You're very courageous.
to me, that was normal. So I didn't think that I'm brave or anything. So I went to Scotland, and when I was there, and I remember going to bed, and before falling totally to sleep, you know, when you are in that stage before totally dropping in, yeah, I had in my mind, I'm here for the healing. And then the message came, if you say that you need healing, then you are coming from this perspective that you are not wholesome, but you are wholesome. So if you will say that you need the healing, then you will need it. If you say that you are wholesome, you will be wholesome. So it was a strong message. And then I was like, wow, okay. Well, that's a bit arrogant, having in mind that I just lost, you know, I was addressing him like, you're arrogant. You know, I just lost you. But still, I accepted it because it was, again, such a strong message. So when I remember when I went to Edinburgh just to be there and, you know, kind of enjoy, or at least
Have the experience.
try to enjoy the town's atmosphere. And there were these amazing performers, musicians, and they were so amazing, so amazing, that I what they played, it just kept in my mind, it kept running in my mind. So when I went to bed that evening, the message came: you are here to raise a vibration the same way as they are doing it. So then it was clear to me, okay, I need to do everything possible, anything possible, to raise the vibration. And ever since, I'm just following the callings. And also here in Uganda, it's no coincidence, of course, that I'm here and working with refugees from Sudan. And even here, I had a dream a few nights ago, and it came in the local language, which I totally cannot repeat. And it was like, thank you, and then thank you, Tomas. So actually, it was African voice coming in, African language for thank you, and then Tomas. And
Wow.
I know that I'm being so guided and so supported. And when people here ask me, are you tired? Aren't you tired when doing every day the program from morning till the evening? And I'm like, do I look tired? And they're like, no. So this is the truth, because you're seeing me.
Because you're energized and you have passion and you're filled with a mission. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's absolutely wonderful. I want everybody to learn what you do, because you're a gifted healer. This amazing thing has happened to you. You're a channel. I would imagine that the drops help you when you're helping people to heal too. They probably drop in with information, correct?
Yes, I mean, I'm very intuitive, so I just allow
Which
for
is
the
wonderful.
information to come. And when I work with people, yeah, also through channeling, the healing happens. So, for example, if I have channeled for a lady, and I do remember, because of the time difference, I channel a lot for people from US and Canada and so on. So because of the time difference in Europe and US, it was my evening, late evening. So I do remember I already have had a shower, and then I planned to go to bed. I was planning to go to bed. And when I channeled for this lady, I became so sweaty that I needed to have another shower. And
Wow.
then I asked our spiritual teacher, who I had at the time, what was that about? And she said, when certain healing happens, it also affects your body. Not affects. It doesn't stay with me, but at that moment, the body responds. So
It
I
was releasing toxins. It was releasing
yes,
toxins.
yes, exactly.
Right.
So it's always different experience, when I did a group channeling just not that long ago for a group of people in Slovenia, I did it for the first time in my own language. And I do remember that I was sensing so much vibration because it was more than 10 people, I think, and it was a small space. And after the channeling, then one lady said, do you know how what she said, like that I was like on a vibration, doing like just shaking, not super shaking,
Like
but
just trembling a
still.
little bit, right?
Yeah,
I understand.
yeah. And I didn't know that that my body has experienced that. But when I out of the channel, so to say, I do remember that I was like sweaty here, but I had totally cold hands.
Isn't that
So
amazing? Isn't that
it was
amazing?
interesting. Yeah.
Tell us about, explain to people, because I think it'll be wonderful. They may want to reach out to you for an Ayurvedic consultation. They want to reach out to you for a shamanic journey. They might want to reach out, and I know you combine these things together too, the Jungian coaching. So can you describe each of these modalities and explain how they help a person to heal, and how you kind of combine them to work
Yeah.
with people?
Yeah, so if I do a Jungian coaching program with someone, first I do Ayurvedic consultation, which is actually to see how a person is. So we do a consultation. I ask a few questions, which are totally by the book. And then I can see from that how far from the balanced state a person is. And then based on Ayurvedic principles, which are, by the way, we have three doshas, three doshic.
It's from India, right? Ayurvedic, right? It's a healing modality from India, right?
Eastern, yeah. And we have three doshas, and they're all based on five elements coming from Mother Nature. These are ether, air, fire, water, and earth. So each of three doshas has two of these elements. And based on that, I can already determine how a person is now and what should be addressed to pacify it. So for example, if one is very angry and gets into conflict all the time, then I get to see, okay, his fire is up. So I need to address the fire element in the body. Based on that, I prepare the recommendations for a person. And if a person follows them, then I continue to work with the person. If they don't follow it, then I get to see already, okay, they're not ready for the coaching really. So I won't spend a person's time, nor I won't spend my time. So after the Ayurvedic consultation, I can also do shamanic tracking, which also means that I connect to the 4 archetypes of a person. We all have them. So they're like snake or the serpent, eagle, jaguar, and hummingbird. And these archetypes, this means that the person stands in front of me for like a minute or so. I usually use kind of a guided, not even a meditation. I just guide the person into the breathing process and that he or she fully relax. I also use the drumming sound. And then I connect to the 4 archetypes. So they also show me how a person is on an emotional, energetical, spiritual, or, like a physical level as well. So based on that, we continue the work so that we really get a person to the balanced state. Yeah.
That's right. And then you also do have this Jungian coaching that you do too?
So this would be a part of the beginning of the program that I have set. Yeah, it's like, let's balance our life. And Jungian coaching is actually this shadow work that I have described a bit at the beginning, which is kind of inviting a person to really go deeper. And not many are ready. I had a person who was severely depressed. He was even admitted to a psychiatric hospital.
Wow.
And we worked together. He tried all possible things, that were available to him. And then we also did Jungian coaching. And at the time, it really supported him in his daily job, because he had a normal job and, normal challenges and all that. And then he was also dealing with this inner state. So at that time, it really worked for him. But then a person would need to continue. When we unleash the shadows, we are invited to, be transparent towards ourselves the whole time, right? If we go back to what we know, then, okay, something was done, but then we get back to so-called normal,
well,
right?
Change is hard for people. So a lot of times they have, So a lot of times they have to they move forward, then I think they get a little nervous or scared, and then they take a few steps back, and then they have a choice. They can move forward again or stay stuck in a way, right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, of course. And I just wanted to say that it has really worked for such a case. And this was really heavy case. But of course, some people need to work on this consistently. And some people can work on it like I have, for example. And now this is with me. It's a part of me, if there is something to address, for example, I find some person not so nice or something, then I go into myself, haven't I liked with the person, and what was shown to me, because I just projected something that is coming from me to that person. So I analyze right away, so that I can then let it go, and then I can see that same person with my fresh eyes.
You're constantly healing. You're in a constant state of healing. I think it's wonderful. And I want to ask you also, you have a retreat coming called Myself Retreat. And you also have an 8-step coaching program. So what would you like everyone to know about about your retreat and the coaching program?
Yeah, so for coaching program, it's the starting points are such as I have described before. So first Ayurvedic consultation, then shamanic tracking. We can also do some shamanic journey on the way so that the person gets to know more about the, also soul agreements, and we can get all sorts of information there. When we release ourselves, when we allow, we get the messages from beyond, I would say. And then we are very concrete. So I get to see if a person wants to achieve something in the career, or just change the relationship, or just to love themselves more. Then I focus. So I'm very intuitive. And then we ask this question: how am I doing? And also we have like 7 steps included, like, why am I doing this? Why? So that we really get to the bottom of it, right? And then we continue with the transformation. So that's an 8-step program. So at the end, a person is equipped with all that they need for the future, and that they eventually don't need me anymore. And this is how I also approach people in, let's say, occasional meetings. I really don't want them to feel dependent on anyone, including me. I want to empower them, right? So this is the only way how we can support each other in sustainable way. And the shamanic journeys, over there we can get our power animals. We can meet other beings as well. We can get answers to why. We can get a glimpse of one of our other lifetimes that is affecting mostly this lifetime, and why, and get the understanding why certain things are happening to us, but then we get to see that they're actually happening through us and for us.
And for us, right?
We are co-creating them. Yeah.
Right. Let me ask you this. Why would you tell people listening to us on this podcast, why is it important for people to heal? There are people who are not going to work with you. There are people who are not going to work with another healer. They're not happy. They're stuck, but it takes a lot of courage to heal. What would you say? Why should people go through that and face that to heal their issues?
Yeah. First, when we say that somebody is, I don't see them stuck, I think that's a big school for them, what they are going through. So they're still very actively, like, also Carl Jung, he said that, let's say, depression is an opportunity to discover another part of you. So something along these lines. It's not a direct quote, but yeah. So everything is a learning lesson, including that state where we feel that we are stuck, but still on the soul level, so much is happening. Like, the souls are partying when we as humans are, going through challenges, and we are overcoming them. When we are overcoming them, I got the message, for example, the bigger the pain, the bigger the growth. And when we are overcoming these challenges, the souls are the happiest.
Wow, that's amazing. And you know what else I've also learned is that because they're with us, as we heal, they heal. Even if they're on the other side, they're healing along with us.
Yeah.
And I've heard that a lot, right? And Lena, what is the Lena Jung tip for finding joy in life? You've been through so much in your life, and in spite of everything, you've still been able to find some joy. And even with losing Tomaz, what would you say?
I'm going to share one thing that was just revealed these days to me as a part of this program that I'm doing here in Uganda. One of the refugees from Sudan, she said that when we had a forest bath, so I took them to forest, and I took them through exercise where they were able to connect to themselves while in forest. And she said that when she was 11, there was some huge thing happening in her life and the life of her family. So they ended up in Sudan, and they ended up being lost in the desert, literally being lost in the desert. And everyone was like in, super panicking mode and really in big stress. But she remembered that she felt pure joy just carrying her.
Wow.
And she felt guilty at the time that she's feeling that it was not natural. How come she feels that? But it was such a, pure, in full purity, it came, that joy within her and also like carrying her. And she shared that because she experienced this now years later in the forest, having this 10-minute experience. And what I'm trying to say here is that even in the toughest possible times, we can feel something that seems unnatural to us as humans, but it's there because it's natural in the divine, and for the divine that it's living through us. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
So maybe it's an experience that I can share from other person, but I would say that also when Tomas passed, and at some points I felt fulfilled, wholesome, and then I found myself feeling guilty about that feeling, but it was there. So in our purity, we really are the creators, and when we get to our pure form, or the purest form of our being, we allow that joy which is already there to be unleashed and that we can feel it. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Lena. Lena, I want to share this enlightened message that you channeled from the drops with our Grief and Rebirth podcast audience.
Okay.
Sometimes the individual steps on the path of the discovery of the truth are shown to your human senses differently. Here we are talking about the painful experiences that you think of, but this is the thing. You have created those in your own illusion called earthly life in order to grow, expand, and evolve beyond them. Imagine your soul in a form of an innocent and curious child, experiencing the world and getting lesson after lesson from it so that it can grow into a wonderful and confident adult, still being amazed by the beauty of life, just from a different standpoint. Now, try to embrace this image as truth for yourself, because it is. Even though some lessons you are experiencing seem harsh, do think of them as door openers for what came into your life after, which you and I have both talked about. It is totally the same as the saying that the sun shines after every rain. And as you know, no night has lasted forever. And at some point, daylight came. In this light, also, your own path of revelation is taking place. The path taking you to freedom, which your soul knows very well. You are so very loved, always and forever, always and forever. The drops. Lena, thank you from my heart for helping people to know for sure that love never dies, for supporting them so beautifully on their healing journeys, for providing profound insights and guidance to those who are experiencing significant life changes, and for this special interview filled with its healing wisdom and enlightened insights. I wish you every success for your upcoming retreat and more. And as I like to say, to be continued. Thank you again, Lena, and many blessings.
Thank you so much. And also for your work, Irene. You are a healer as well. And this podcast is just a healing platform. So
thank you.
Thank you
so much. We're part of the collective, and each of us are doing our part, which is a beautiful thing.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Grief and Rebirth. Remember, you can dive deeper into everything we've discussed by checking out the show notes and all past episodes at ireneweinberg.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Irene S. Weinberg on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and wherever you love to hang out online. Plus, we're on YouTube, so be sure to subscribe and never miss a video. For those of you listening you'll find links to my 2 books, Good to the Last Drop and They Serve Bagels in Heaven, in the show notes. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can see those books listed right above, so don't miss out. And here comes a special treat. If you sign up for Audible as a first-time user using my link, which you can find in the show notes, you can get They Serve Bagels in Heaven for free. And finally, people often ask me what I read, what I use, and what I recommend for healing and self-care. So I've carefully curated a compilation of those items to share with you. You can head over to kit.co/Grief and Rebirth to check them out. Thanks again for tuning in, and until next time, many blessings.